Activision, the publisher of this Call of Duty franchise, is relying more than ever on the success of this property, which is really the only IP that they own that can bring in the big bucks, or really the only IP that they have right now. Their newest installment coming this fall, Modern Warfare, needs to be a huge financial success, and the fact that Activision finally got rid of the outdated season pass is a big deal, as you better believe they're going to make up that lost revenue in other areas. Other AAA game publishers like the EAs and Ubisofts have moved away from that monetization system years ago because it hurts and fractures their online game player bases, which impacts the longevity of said game. Splitting up player bases is plain and simple bad for business, which is why last year Black Ops 4 removed the option to buy individual map packs and instead forced players to pay $50 for a season pass. This year Activision has chosen to go the opposite route, which is finally getting with the times and removing the season pass system, although again the problem with that is the fact that Activision will make up the lost revenue in other areas, which for the last few weeks we have found out is with pay-to-win loot boxes, which today we have another more unfortunate update to discuss and break down. But additionally, we're also going to go over the state of Battlefield 5, which if you've watched this channel for some time, you'd know that this may be one of the most disappointing online live services to date. DICE has just severely fumbled this game since it launched last year, and players throughout 2019 have had to endure cancelled features, delays, lies, and a few apologies, which another one actually came just the other day. Besides just that, we also have to talk about the disgusting greed that is present with Ghost Recon Breakpoint. I complained about Ubisoft's egregious pushing of monetization systems and macro transactions and Far Cry New Dawn earlier this year, and it's just not slowing down. Actually getting even more predatory by the day. But if you go on to enjoy this content and want to show your support for gaming news like this, please consider hitting that like button, subscribing for more, and turning notifications on so you do not miss out on any new content. So I feel it's best we start with the nonsense that Activision is preparing for Modern Warfare. Understand, as much as players hated the monetization of Black Ops 4, Activision executives told investors that players had embraced all that BS. Because of that, they were pushing forward with all of those monetization systems in their next games. I mean, Black Ops 4 is said to be their most successful game to date, which in the eyes of Activision executives, that's all they care about. They don't care about the outcry, the outrage. They ignore that because they're making more money than ever. So I fully expect the Fortnite-like battle pass system to return, the in-game shop, which may or may not include $28 melee weapons and a $1 red dot reticle. And hey, maybe they will rip off Rainbow Six Siege's operators and turn that into another monetization opportunity. But the biggest one that we all know is coming is the loot boxes, discovered accidentally in the beta, and additionally a Modern Warfare insider, the Gaming Revolution, who has leaked practically this entire game accurately, revealed recently that the pay-to-win weapon loot boxes will be back. Although it doesn't sound like this game will be starting off cosmetic only. It seems that we are just going straight forward into the pay-to-win nonsense, which really plagued, ruined, and destroyed Black Ops 4. But once this tweet from the Gaming Revolution went viral, which essentially says most of the cool cosmetics and post-launch weapons will be locked behind loot boxes, Infinity Ward, a developer, slammed back asking fans to not listen to rumors and instead listen to official announcements from them, which I'll reiterate what I said in my last video. Activision has not earned that privilege and they can simply fuck off with that demand for trust. Every Call of Duty game since 2014 in some shape or form eventually got weapons hidden behind loot boxes. We all know this was inevitable, but maybe because there's no season pass they are starting off sooner with the greedy BS. But the Gaming Revolution did reveal that following his leak, Infinity Ward and Activision held a big meeting on this topic of supply drops or loot boxes. And as this Modern Warfare insider reported on Twitter, the gist of it is that they've lost a ton of pre-orders with the recent news of Survival being delayed by a year on PC and Xbox and the macro transaction news, and are thinking about giving the players the option to earn them again, being the weapons. Nothing regarding microtransactions is set in stone, and like I've said countless times before, they are a constant work in progress, but my source wanted to let the community know that they really care. And of course the developers, as I said before, they care, but Activision executives, they do not. They just care about making sure that investors are happy. So that was really where we left off with this situation, and as of the last few days, there has been some very interesting updates. Now, some in the Call of Duty community are not buying into the boycott damage or or the potential loss in pre-orders. You have some posts like this one saying, "This is how insignificant all your canceled pre-orders are." And pretty much this user just goes on to say that all the outrage that's coming about on YouTube, Reddit, and all the other social media platforms only amounts to a very small portion of people that will end up buying Modern Warfare. I do think that's true. I think a lot of people are no matter what going to buy Modern Warfare, mainly because it is Modern Warfare. Just the name alone will sell this game. And also, I mean, let's be honest, casual gamers aren't following along with all the controversies that are happening online. All they want to do is find and play a fun game this holiday season. And I have to say that these AAA gaming publishers, not just Activision, but the EAs, Ubisofts, Bethesdas, they like to exploit that fact. That's why it's important that we don't allow this monetization nonsense to get normalized. Ultimately, I just believe that Activision deserves, they are asking for a Star Wars Battlefront 2-like controversy, and I kind of hope that's ahead very, very soon, maybe with Modern Warfare. They just deserve it at this point with all the crap that they like to pull. But the latest update we have is a Chinese leaker reported this on Twitter just a few days ago. The supply drop system cannot drop new weapons, only weapon variants, just like XRK Weapons Pack. And I believe that's a pre-order bonus, something that's already been announced. So this was something that a lot in the Call of Duty community were praising, but the truth is, Victor seems to only have insight on the launch day plan. So yes, all Call of Duty games seem to be cosmetic only at launch, and that's because they want the reviews not to reflect the macro transaction plans and all the BS that will be inevitable later on, and also, I mean, that could impact sales. That's why Activision usually is very tight-lipped on monetization until a few months after release, and they just pop up with the supply drops and all the other crap that they have planned way before release. So Victor, all he knows unfortunately is the launch day plans, and I say that because the Gaming Revolution actually hit back with a response, and he gave further insight into what's actually happening behind the scenes. And unfortunately, if you actually thought Activision was listening or actually going to change their ways with Modern Warfare because of all the pushback, that's not what's happening. Currently, the crossbow is planned to be the first weapon in supply drops. At launch, everything is cosmetic only, like every year. Victor is technically right, but only for launch. But I think we were already expecting this, and I mean, we were. That's how it is every single year, and maybe Activision was going to go a little differently this year and just go straight ahead with the weapons. Maybe because of all the pushback and backlash, they're, backing a little bit away with that, gonna wait a few more months with the release of this supply drop nonsense, but it's coming eventually, people. We already kind of knew that this was going to be happening when the game was announced. As I've said in the last few videos that I've uploaded on this channel about Modern Warfare, the fan favorite weapons, the ACR, Intervention, the UMP45, they're all going to be in the weapon loot boxes a few months after launch. And the Gaming Revolution actually hit back at the Modern Warfare developer who pretty much took a shot at him, calling his leaks inflammatory rumors. And this is what the Gaming Revolution hit back, saying, "Let's set the record straight regarding macro transactions once and for all, Activision. I know you will see this, and I wish for a quick response for the community. Are there any plans to have weapons that affect gameplay behind supply drops, including after launch?" The answer is yes, in Modern Warfare. If the leaks are misguided, then you should be able to give a point-blank, no, never answer right. You have an easy chance here to set the record straight, let the community know, no more ambiguity like we have received year on year on year. If silent, then we will know, thank you. I'm asking you because I know the developers will want to save face, and you will have a better idea of plans than they do. This is just to show the community, save your game and restore their faith. And that will never happen, and it's not happening. The reason why Infinity Ward's developer pretty much just called what his leaks are inflammatory rumors, he didn't actually dispel or say that it's not happening, he just called it a rumor, that's it. And there's a reason for that, it's all calculated moves. Infinity Ward can't say that something's not going to happen because it is going to happen. And I understand what the Gaming Revolution is trying to achieve with this, but they're going to be silent because they don't care. I mean, let's be honest, Black Ops 4 still made billions, probably billions of dollars, and those macro transactions that were in place, that monetization system, made them a lot more money than Call of Duty World War II. Unfortunate how being more anti-consumer can actually benefit these companies, but that's the reality that we're living with right now, which is why I do think Activision deserves their Star Wars Battlefront 2 controversy moment, or something like that. And I'll keep staying on top of this, but that's where we are right now with Call of Duty Modern Warfare, and personally myself, I'm very disappointed by all of this, but I'm not surprised, and I know a lot of you are feeling the same way. Now, let's move on to Battlefield 5, a game that has been severely mismanaged since launch, and now a lot of players are starting to reflect on the last 9 or 10 months since the game released and compare it to past years, and if you're comparing, it don't look very good. Just about a month ago, we had DICE's general manager Oscar Gabrielson publicly apologizing on Twitter for falling short on expectations with Battlefield 5, and that was when they announced the cancellation of the 5v5 mode and some other delays. It's just been a mess with Battlefield 5 the last number of months, and if you've gone on the game's subreddit, they're very angry with how this experience is all gone. And one user took it upon themselves to document this mess, and let's go through this. This user says Battlefield 5 is nearly a year into its release, and after ditching the standard premium pass model for a freemium live service model, DICE and EA have proven to have absolutely failed at delivering on its promises for consistent content updates in the same quality and timely manner as past titles. I don't know why that is a thing, but it seems like a lot of these AAA gaming publishers that are taking these freemium models, they're not doing it to success. Like if you compare previous Call of Duty games to the newer ones, it seems like the ones that you actually had to pay money, you get the content on schedule, but nowadays it's just a lot of delays, a lot of chaos. But anyway, let's look at this. Battlefield 3, released October 25th, 2011, maps at release 9, 21 maps by September 2012. Battlefield 4, released October 29th, 2013, maps at release 10, 29 maps by the end of the year. Battlefield Hardline, released March 17th, maps at release 9, 27 maps by the end of the first year. Battlefield 1, released October 21st, 2016, maps at release again 9, 24 maps by the end of the year. Now let's get to Battlefield 5, released November 20th, 2018, maps at release 8, and then this goes through some of the other chapters that we've had, but thus far, total release plus scheduled maps within the first year is only 15. That is... you could say it's unacceptable, and there's a good reason why a lot in the Battlefield community are upset, but it goes beyond just the maps that DICE has ultimately failed on with this game. But this user continues saying 2 of these maps were specifically designed for the now scrapped small-scale 5v versus 5 competitive mode that no one wanted, and DICE is trying to pass them off as normal maps. And here's some of the things that DICE and EA have botched with this live service model for this game from the start. The game literally launched with missing content, including one of the campaign's story chapters. The roadmap has become meaningless due to constant delays and scrapping of planned content. Almost every single new map has been delayed at least once. General updates and bug fixes are repeatedly delayed. The Combined Arms co-op mode was missing at launch and flopped upon release a couple months later. There is significantly less weapons and customization compared to previous Battlefield titles, especially Battlefield 4. Promised tank customization has still yet to be seen. Firestorm Battle Royale mode was too late to the game and behind a paywall. Looting mechanics were not fixed. Game mode is dead in several regions like Australia and New Zealand, and basically dead in the US due to long wait times. For some reason, DICE has an obsession with removing popular game modes and adding game modes no one wanted. Duos were eventually added to Firestorm, then quickly removed because it wasn't as popular as squads. And then Frontlines mode was removed. Rush mode, a Battlefield staple, repeatedly gets removed and only brought back for limited events. They constantly try to add small-scale infantry-based esports like game modes like 8 vs 8, Squad Conquest, and the canceled 5v5 mode that they literally wasted time making maps for. There's a never-ending state of bugs with every patch, no auto-team balance, Tides of War unlocks, and progression continues to break and bug out. The list just goes on. And I think this is really just reflective, this next statement, of this entire Battlefield 5 experience. This is the first live service model for the Battlefield franchise, and it has utterly failed in every measure, in part due to seemingly nonsensical management from DICE, who appears to not understand their own game or player base. And I mean, that was evident from the start with how they marketed this game. Unfortunately, 10 months or 11 months later, it just has not improved at all. It's actually gotten probably a lot worse. I mean, if you want an idea on how communication and delays have impacted this game, let's just look at the Firestorm mode, which not really anybody's playing anymore. This was June 8th, where everybody's looking for an update to Firestorm. It says this drops mid-June. With Chapter 4, squad respawn and loot system improvements are coming too. Then to June 19th, again it seems like this is delayed. June 25th, again it's supposed to be coming, but again it's delayed. July 29th, they have nothing to say about it. And then September 16th, again they say that they'll have details coming soon. So yes, they've just been delaying, and there's been no real updates on just this Firestorm mode. That's just a small sample of this Battlefield 5 communication and the experience overall well for players. And I mean, DICE gets that. A multiplayer producer, David Tiger Sirland, actually talked about the state of Battlefield 5 just the other day. He said, "So, to finally get back and answer this post, I was personally pretty bummed out by the controversies surrounding this game around and before launch, especially the focus it took away from the good stuff. And I think that goes for many of the developers. I hope we can bridge that gap and get back to making a better game and experience that meets expectations from players that like Battlefield and ourselves as devs as well." And pretty much this developer just goes on to acknowledge that there's been a lot of issues with Battlefield 5, and they've made a lot of mistakes and they need to get better, and they believe in the future. So we'll see what happens, but many in the Battlefield community are rightfully very skeptical. But we're going to finally move on to the last subject of today, and that is Ghost Recon Breakpoint. And with all Ubisoft games the last number of years, single player, online, whatever, it seems like they're all getting greedier with the monetization. That's why earlier this year I took such a big issue with Far Cry New Dawn, which with every single element is monetized. As soon as you start up that game, start playing, you can get the best weapons, vehicles, and you can buy skill points and pretty much max out your character as far as I understand. And by the end of the game, after I finished the main narrative, which I didn't really care for, I never was able to play with the gold weapons or vehicles, and unfortunately that's just because of poor design. And the reason why it is poorly designed is because of that monetization system. It hurts the actual experience. And with Ghost Recon Breakpoint, we're seeing that again. I think that's also been nonsense that's been in the Assassin's Creed games the last number of years. All of this is convenience. There's nothing convenient about any of this. But Ubisoft's actually taken a step further with this BS. I love this. You have the most popular premium currency that you can purchase for a game that's unreleased. I just love when they do that. All developers do that, EA most notably. And then if you go further down here, the Assault Rifles Bundle 1, all kinds of bundles for weapons that you can buy right from the get-go. Then you have some attachments that you can buy. Then there's obviously finally some cosmetics. And as you keep on going, there's just more and more monetization. It's absurd what's happening here. Motorcycles, cars, aircrafts, purchase it all. And then there's body gear, headgear, figures, tattoos, melee weapons, emotes. And then there's of course bundles. There's gear camos, weapon paints. And then you can buy some more premium currency, skill credits. And then finally we get to the skill points, which interestingly may have been removed, but we'll get to that in a second. You can buy 4 skill points, 12, 28, 60. Then you can buy crafting materials. Then you can upgrade your weapons. Then there's some boosters. There's some, I guess, some helmets here, backpacks. It just goes on and on. I just don't understand what Ubisoft is doing. They've been very silent about this, but it seems like they did remove one of the macro transactions, and that being the skill points. Based on Kotaku's reporting, they pretty much acknowledge making skill points purchasable could be considered pay to win, and I think it is pay to win. But they also did reach out to Ubisoft for clarification and details, but have not heard back yet, and they will not hear back, because Ubisoft will not say anything about their decision to implement this and then remove it, once controversy stirred up. So yes, it looks like Ubisoft did react to some of the backlash removing this, but as far as I understand, all of the other nonsense is still in the game, and that's not going to change. And this is where we are right now in this AAA gaming industry. You have to create enough backlash, enough controversy to get these developers to get their greedy nonsense out of the game, and even some of them, they just won't actually acknowledge or care, and thus far Ubisoft has not acknowledged anything. They just silently remove these skill points. But the reality is that players and consumers have to push back on all of this, because if this bullshit gets normalized, you better believe that this AAA gaming industry is just going to keep it going. There's going to be more monetization. Even things that we're not thinking of right now is coming. And I think that's truly where we're headed right now. And I get that a lot of casual gamers don't understand or maybe even care about this, but they better, because the games that are coming in the future may be impacted by the events that are happening right now. The biggest mistake, or what this gaming industry has gotten away with, is a lack of consequences for anti-consumer greed. Promises mean nothing today, and sure, cosmetic only is normalized and okay in the minds of most players, but who knows where that fine line will be in a few years. Publishers like EA, Activision, Bethesda are slowly trying to normalize other greedy monetization features, describing them as player convenience items. But the truth is, it's just going to get worse as investor and shareholder expectations continue to grow with each release. It's never going to be enough. But that's where I'm going to leave this. What Ubisoft is doing with Ghost Recon Breakpoint is simply garbage, and it's disgusting. But it makes a lot of money, and they're going to keep it going. Anyway, what is your thoughts on all this monetization nonsense? Let me know your thoughts down in the comment section below. But thank you for watching. Make sure to leave a like if you did enjoy this video or found any informative value, and make sure to follow my other social media accounts for updates on new videos. Links are always down in the description below. I'm most active on Twitter, giving opinions on news that I do not always get into video form, so make sure to follow me over there. Also check out my Discord for all sorts of discussion on games. And again, thank you for joining. Consider subscribing for more videos like this, and I'll see you later.